Good. How about you?
All right, right.
So you're at the game Sunday. How was it?
Yeah, it was a fun atmosphere. There was a lot of Chiefs fans there, but a good amount of Chargers fans too. Um, and we had that fast start. We were up 10-0, and things were going great, and it all came crashing down by the end of it. So
Yeah. From the TV, it seemed like it was like 80-20 Chiefs fans. I don't know if it was like that in the stadium, but
I don't think it was quite that bad in the stadium, but
it was like a sea of red on TV. But
yeah.
I think, over time, definitely made improvements over the years with Chargers fans' attendance. It's just also the ticket prices have gone up a lot. But also like fans just selling tickets because they're disappointed in the team, or they want to see them winning more, whatever the case might be, and they just sell it off to opposing teams. So I don't get that. But yeah, we can jump into the recap. I mean, obviously we wanted to go into the bye week 3-1. 2-2 is not ideal, but I don't think it's time to panic yet. I think there's still a long road ahead of us. We had guys missing, Derwin, Bosa, Slater, Alt, and I hate injuries. Every year we have injuries, and every year it's like, oh, if we had this guy, look at what we could have done. I'm tired of it. I truly am. I just want one season where most of our stars are healthy. And currently, we have two of our most important offensive pieces out. Derwin was out, suspension. He'll be back against the Broncos. Bosa's out, but he might play against Denver. We don't know yet. I think Alt will return sooner than Slater. But we'll see how it plays out. We'll see what the injury report looks like when we're back from the bye week. Um, but yeah, just this game in particular, 10-0, we were up. I mean, there were a lot of opportunities to put this team away, and they just didn't take advantage of it. The defense looked good in the beginning, especially through the first three quarters. Kind of fell off in the fourth. Um, Offense, uh, you know, the run game wasn't great. Um, in the last 2 weeks, it hasn't been great, but I still have faith in Dobbins. I think seeing him get more involved in the passing game, I really like that. I hate to admit it, but that play where Herbert kind of escaped the sack and threw it to Dobbins. It was like a dart
Yeah,
to Dobbins, and Dobbins missed it.
yeah,
I was like, I hate to say it, but Eckler would have caught that because we've seen it in the past with Eckler. Um, but I think he just has to get used to being targeted because in Baltimore he wasn't targeted much. He wasn't really a passing back, but now he can be a hybrid, a running back and a passing back, and I think that's what they're kind of aiming toward because he had, I believe, 4 catches this game, 3 catches last game. He had 3 catches week 1, so they're kind of building him up to be a passing back, which is good to see because we need one. But I mean, Gus, he had, I think, again, under 4 yards per carry. It seemed like he did a bit better this game. So improvement definitely. But we just need to see more out of him. Like the Chiefs did with Kareem Hunt. You've been talking about this for a while. Like we have to tire out the defenses. That's exactly what the Chiefs did with Hunt. Um, I mean, I was surprised to see him out there a lot. Uh, After that Carson Steele fumble, it seemed like they just said, "Okay, let's put in Kareem Hunt." Not like we have much to lose right now with Pacheco out, and it worked. So
yeah. It's tough when you don't have those two great tackles. Yeah, they just we just could not get anything going in the run game. We get 1 yard. You know, uh, yeah, on the penalties again. The penalties. It's hard to get the run game going when you're 2nd and 15 or whatever. yeah, it's these same issues keep popping up. Are we going to fix them? Are we going to fix them this season? You know,
Yeah,
that's the question. Because if we don't get this run game going, and I have faith that we can.
yeah,
Everywhere Greg Roman is gone, they've been a great running team. But yeah, are we going to have the tackles to be able to do it?
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I feel like again, this is a talking point too every year. The offensive
yeah,
line.
yeah,
It seemed like we had it going the first 2 weeks, and injuries piled up, and it has to happen to our two best tackles. It's just our luck, just the team's luck. I mean, I don't know. I still think they need a center.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, it was a winnable game. It was a winnable game. They should have put them away when they had the chance. This is not a team to kind of let float, and that's exactly what they did against the Chiefs. Was it a great game from Mahomes? No, again, it wasn't. And they found a way to pull it off. 4 weeks in a row now. He's had a mediocre performance. They've pulled it off. Rashee Rice going out, we both said Rashee Rice, we got to contain. He went out. I was like, okay, this is our opening. And we couldn't shut the door. Kelsey turned into, last year, the way he looked last year. It seems like every year he dominates us. And although he didn't put up the same numbers as we've seen him put up, he was still involved a lot more than he was the first 3 weeks. So just a combination of, bad decisions, penalties, just a combination. It just didn't bode well for this team.
yeah, yeah. And Worthy got open for that long touchdown. Yeah, I don't know what you're gonna do there. He's just so fast.
Yeah, I'm not even mad about that. I mean, he's extremely fast. Some
Yeah,
say he's faster than Tyreek Hill. I don't know if he's that fast, but certainly at his age right now, compared to Tyreek Hill, he might be.
yeah, yeah. You wonder if maybe if Derwin was there, maybe he would have had help
I
over
think
the top.
I think had Derwin played, Kelsey would not have had a game like that.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, these are the types of things that really upset fans. I think is that Rashee Rice goes out. Okay, that was their number one target. They're gonna go to Kelsey. They're gonna go to Worthy. They don't have much else, and they just could not stop the two.
yeah,
And it's frustrating. Yes, I mean watching Kareem Hunt run all over that defense is frustrating. And then
yeah,
he wore him out, and they took advantage with that touchdown in the fourth.
yeah. Hunt was good. Probably better than anyone expected
Yeah,
because last we saw with the Browns, he didn't look like the same player he was with the Chiefs. So maybe having some time off rejuvenated him. Whatever the case may be, but yeah, very very frustrating. We expected it coming in, but there were bad calls going the Chiefs' way, and non-calls also.
yeah,
A couple PIs. It and that part is frustrating. Like I noticed the lead referee, going up to a Chiefs player before the game started, and he's patting him on the back, and they look like they're having a great time, and it's like, you know, uh,
I think there
it's
was like a stat. One team had won at home when that referee was reffing a Chiefs game on the road.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's insane. It's
yeah,
insane.
yeah. Um, and it's tough. Harbaugh said he wishes he challenged the Josh Palmer catch, getting the
Yeah.
first down, and
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
I think that first challenge that they made, they shouldn't have made.
yeah,
Um, but it happens in the moment, in the heat of things, it happens. I was surprised that they didn't challenge a Palmer one, because getting a look at that the last time that they showed the review, he wasn't touched
yeah,
until after he got the first.
yeah,
So I was kind of surprised that they didn't challenge, but at the same time, I believe they had one timeout left, so they didn't want to risk it maybe. Um, but yeah, I mean, not the greatest game for Harbaugh. Um, But it happens. It happens. Nobody's a perfect coach. Everyone makes mistakes. Greg Popovich has made mistakes in the past. He's still a great coach. It just happens around all of sports. Um, Bill Belichick has made mistakes. So, it's more important to learn from those mistakes rather than not make any, and not learn from them. So
Yeah,
that's how you grow.
I agree. And there is a coach many fans are calling for the head of, Greg Roman. His offense only scored 10 points. We got those in the first quarter.
Yeah.
It was tough to watch. It was tough to watch. So do you have patience with Greg Roman or?
Man, I mean, going into the season, we knew this was going to happen. Like, it's not a surprise to me that we're running the ball so much. I want to see Herbert unleashed. I mean, we've said this since last year. We want to see the same Herbert that we saw the first 3 years, and we haven't seen it. Definitely not this year. He had 27 pass attempts, which was pretty high considering he had much less the week 2 and week 3 games. But not enough. Like against the Chiefs, you got to have about 40 pass attempts if you want to, have a chance to win against a team like that, or a high-powered offense like the Ravens, like the Bills. There must be some games where you have to let Herbert be Herbert. I think that's the biggest thing for Roman. You can't just consistently insist that no, we're going to run it 30 times a game. There are different matchups. It's not going to always work running it 30 times a game. If it's a game like Carolina, that works. A game like Pittsburgh, most of the time that would work, right? It was a different game that game, but the team wise, it would work. Against the Raiders, we saw a good amount of runs. I think it was 21 runs combined with Edwards and Dobbins. Let's say against Denver, yeah, it could work against Denver, but then against Arizona, who just got whooped on Sunday, they're not going to look like that at home on a Monday night primetime game, right? They have a high-powered offense with Kyler Murray, Connor, Marvin Harrison Jr., McBride. So you're going to need to let Herbert be Herbert. So there are going to be games where yes, you can run. There are going to be games where you got to let him do his thing. And I think that's the biggest thing for Roman is don't force that run game. Just let it happen.
Well, the other side of the coin of that is, Herbert was injured coming in. There's fear, if he gets hit on that again the wrong way, that could be season ending.
Yeah.
And he was pressured 10 times. I believe they said on the radio that that's the most
Yeah.
he's ever been pressured in a game.
And sacked once,
Sacked once, yeah.
which was pretty good for being pressured 10 times.
Yeah, he did get hit a number of times while he's throwing the ball out.
Yeah.
So it's not your normal circumstance, missing those 2 tackles. And but it was the breakout game you were talking about for Ladd. He had the touchdown, the nice back of the end zone touchdown, and
Yeah.
a couple longer plays.
Yeah. I mean, Ladd, I want to see him more involved. We saw that Sunday. I had written an article for the Sporting News saying that he's one of the keys to the game. You got to get him involved, and that breakout's coming sooner rather than later. And I'm glad to see that it came week 4. I think he has even more potential than what he showed, and we're going to see that as the season progresses. But to your point about the injury, I 100% agree with you. I think, yeah, that injury is going to limit him for sure. And I'm usually opposed to early buys, but this is a perfect bye week for the Chargers. I'm opposed to it because down the line in the season, you're going to get really fatigued. And you got teams like the Ravens who have I think week 14 bye. That benefits them later on in the season. The good thing about that is that we play them week 12. So they won't have their bye until after that. But to your point, against the Raiders, for example, he was healthy going into that game, and they still, went with the run game. I think that's where kind of the fans were kind of tired of of Roman, but at the same time, this is what we expected. Um, so I'm just going to trust the process. I think as we get the guys back, Slater, Alt, and we don't see an improvement, which I think we will see an improvement in the run game, but let's just say we don't, and we keep running it, then that's a problem. But if the run game's explosive, like we saw the first 2 weeks, which I think it will be once these guys are back, then as long as we're winning, it doesn't have to be pretty, but as long as we're winning.
Yeah, I think it takes time to build the kind of run game they want, and yeah, it takes you need Alt and Slater there to yeah. So I get the frustration from the fans. It's tough being there and seeing the 1 yard runs because
Yeah.
we've seen that before, with
Right.
Eckler.
Right.
Uh, and then you're facing these long situations. You're putting Herbert in, and it's scary with all those pressures too.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
you know,
I mean, we had a lot of third and longs, and
yeah,
every time it was a third or even second and long, they were just pressuring Herbert, and you can't do much with that ankle, you know. Um, yeah, it's just disappointing to see. And also another thing, a lot of these players, these offensive linemen, currently are out of position, so you have to expect some of these penalties. I hate to say it, but it's just a fact. They're not used to playing in that particular position, and there will be mistakes made.
yeah, yeah. It's tough. And we've seen some of these early so many of these early games now marred by penalties
Yeah.
with our team. We were able to overcome them the first couple of weeks, but they really killed us these last two games,
Hmm.
which is weird to see from a Harbaugh team so focused on getting the details right. You know,
Right.
but it is still early. A lot of new guys playing together. A lot of, like you said, guys playing out of position. So it's tough, but yeah. So Herbert's usage, we talked about that, but going forward, what do you do? I mean, Denver, yeah, we can run a lot, but what if Herbert's not fully healed going
Right.
into that Cardinals game?
I mean, I think, I hope at least that ankle injury will get better this week. Full week off. He he lasted the whole game, which was good to see. The Against the Steelers, he didn't even last full 3 quarters. So it seems like it's gotten better, but it's still immobile. Um, so it just needs time, of course. So this week 5 bye is key. Also, if he's not fully healed by week 6, maybe start Heineke week 6. Broncos, they have a good defense as always, but their offense, Bo Nix, I'm a fan of. He still has a lot of improvements to make, which is expected as a rookie quarterback. So I think that our defense, can pressure him, can put him in spots where it's going to be tough for him to get throws off and make mistakes. So I would lean on the defense there. And if he's not 100%, I wouldn't rule out starting Heineke for him to be, close to 100% at least against the Cardinals, because you got games here like the Cardinals, Saints, Bengals, Ravens. These are going to be tough games. And then you go into Kansas City week 14. And by the way, last week we were talking about the Sunday night primetime games. We do have a Sunday night game. I didn't realize it's against the Chiefs, week
Oh,
14. So
okay.
that'll be a huge game. If we're at 500 or one game above, one game below, it'll be a huge game, and really could dictate whether we make the playoffs or not. So hopefully we get on a win streak here and it won't matter. Like, I could definitely see us winning these next 3 games. They're doable. Yes, it's a back-to-back road trip, but it's on the West Coast, so that's the good thing about this road trip. So I could see us going 5-2 by week 9, and that's best case scenario, obviously. But we need to because right now we're 2-2. We have to build somewhere. Um, But yeah, Herbert. I mean, I want to see him unleashed. Don't get me wrong. I really do. But at the same time, you got to trust the process with Roman. Um, Again, it's not pretty, especially for those who are fantasy football enthusiasts. I don't get joy in Herbert getting 10, 12 points. It just is what it is right now. And going into the season, we expected this. So, and those who have J.K. Dobbins, do not sell him low or anything like that, man. Keep him because he's gonna be fine once we get our tackles back. What's encouraging is that he's kind of getting involved in the pass game too. So once he gets that going, gets the O line back, he's gonna be phenomenal. So I would not sell him low at all.
I agree. I agree. And I would love for them to sit Herbert against Denver if he's not right. But
Yeah.
the thing is, we've seen the opposite these last 2 weeks. If Herbert says he's ready to go, even if he's not 100%, they let him go.
Right.
Um,
Which do you
so
like that? Like, do you like that they have the trust in him and they're listening to him over their own concerns?
uh, I I really wish we. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about that because I love to see Herbert out there as a fan. You like to have hope, the hope of
Mhm.
Herbert out there, but you know, how much better would his ankle be right now if we let him rest those 2 weeks? And even if we lost those 2 games with Heineke, we'd be 2-2 like we are now. And then you got maybe a fully healthy Herbert ready to
Right.
go.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I see fans, saying they want Herbert to play and this and that. I do too. Trust me, I do.
yeah,
But I don't want him to play re-aggravated and then risk missing the season.
yeah,
You know, it's a trade I'm not willing to make. Um, I mean, again, he looked better. Um, but if he doesn't have that mobility, that's going to be a problem. So I'd rather him heal 100%, have that mobility, at least have that mobility back, and then
yeah.
return. And hopefully he gets that after this week's bye.
And he did take a hard hit at
Yeah.
the end of that Chiefs game. It was a little bit scary. Yeah, yeah. Um, so hopefully that doesn't cause any lasting effects
Hmm.
coming out of this. But man, Chargers fans obviously are feeling low after that loss because it looked like we had a good chance to win early on there.
Yeah.
So uh,
It seems like that every week, though, right? Like every time first half we go out, we're fired up, we take the lead, and then just second half comes and it's a completely different team. I don't know what happens. I don't know what happens. I mean, I get the injuries, I'm not discounting them losing all these key guys, but it's
yeah,
just every single year it's the same
yeah,
thing with this team. I mean, at a point it's going to come where we may turn the corner, and I hope we do that with Harbaugh. But it was just surprising that it happened again against the Chiefs.
yeah, yeah. It's tough to watch.
Yeah,
It's definitely, but it is still early with Harbaugh.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, you know,
I mean, look, we didn't expect a championship this year. As much as we want to see the Chargers in the Super Bowl, we didn't expect it this year. Even if they make the wild card divisional, that's great. You know, this was supposed to be a rebuild year. I hope it's not. I hope we get more wins. I hope we make the playoffs. But I don't think most fans, at least, didn't think that we are going to make the Super Bowl. Maybe next year, maybe the following year, sooner than later, I think. And that's better than never, right? So, one interesting story I think out of this past couple of days was Devontae Adams. He might not return. He might be traded. I see people saying Chiefs. I see some saying Chargers. I think both are ruled out. I don't think he goes to either. They're divisional teams. You're not going to trade in the division. Um, and I think he either goes to the Jets or the Packers. I've had that belief for a long time. Now that Rodgers is back, I think he goes to the Jets possibly. But if you're not going to trade in the AFC, it's going to be the Packers. I don't see an NFC team taking him without the Packers having a say, because they need wide receiver help there. I know they got some guys. Christian Watson just got banged up, so they need a receiver probably over there ASAP. And they might be the ones offering something that the Raiders want in return. What I am afraid of is the Chiefs now needing a wide receiver. Going out and getting Amari Cooper possibly. I could see that. What fears me, I know he's getting older, but if the Bears keep losing and they say, okay, everyone's available, all these veterans are available, and they go out and get Keenan Allen, that would be a nightmare. If the Chiefs land Keenan Allen, I know he's getting older, but he can still perform at a high level.
He can. Yeah.
So that really scares me.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good to see.
Yeah. Just imagine a playoff game, having to face Keenan Allen. He's going to want that ball.
Yeah. But that's if he's available too. He has missed a lot of time with the Bears. Yeah. Came back last game. Didn't have much of an impact that game. So we'll see. We'll see how this season goes for Keenan, but it's definitely looking like it was a good decision not to pay him the $25 million right now.
Yeah, as good as he was a safety net for Herbert, safety net for Rivers. I appreciate what he did for the franchise. We both want to see him retire as a Charger. I was kind of surprised that he didn't take the pay cut after seeing Bosa and Mack, reconstruct their contracts. But I get it. This is a business. I get it. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see where he goes. I don't know if he's happy in Chicago. Caleb Williams, first pick, doesn't look that great. Still a rookie, but like Jaden Daniels, look at him. He's outperforming Williams in every category right now. So I think Bo Nix, he's older. I think he's 24. I think he could have a better career than Caleb Williams too. I don't know. I think there's just a lot of pressure on Williams right now to perform at a high level, and he's just not being able to live up to that expectation. So I'm not, he's not going to be a bust, but he's also not going to be the best quarterback in that class, because you're already seeing it in Jaden Daniels. He's a dog, and I'm just glad we don't play them this year because he's incredible.
Yeah, he is. And for the Chargers, we may be getting a little bit of wide receiver help against Denver if DJ Chark is able to come back. He's eligible. We don't know if he'll be ready or not injury wise, but he could be that deep threat. And we talked about you got to give Herbert time to be able to get the ball to Chark, but that if we can stretch the field like that, like the Chiefs can do with Worthy, that's that would be big for opening up the offense more.
Absolutely. I think having McConkey at the slot and then Johnson and Chark on the edge on the sides, that'll be big for Herbert for sure. I think having Ladd at the Keenan Allen spot, right? That's what I like to call it. Is perfect. Like the Keenan Allen role is perfect because he has the speed, and you just go short to him, and he can turn that up into 15 yards, something that Keenan couldn't do. So I think just give it time, and he could be the wide receiver one, like I was saying before the season started. Do you go out and trade for a wide receiver one? I don't think it makes sense, because if you're not throwing the ball at least 30 times a game, which they're not throwing 30 times a game, what's the point of going out and getting a wide receiver? I'd rather invest in an offensive line with Slater and Alt and get them some help up front than going out and getting a wide receiver who we may or may not throw to often.
Yeah, and do you trade away Joshua Palmer? That's the tough thing, but he has no value right now.
Yeah. Right, and that's the thing that you really have to think about starting now. He is a free agent next year. Do you trade him and get something in return? Because knowing these wide receivers, knowing most of these players, not just wide receivers, everyone now in the league, they're going to want their money. And do you get rid of him right now, like before the end of the season, and get something in return? I don't know. I think you at least look at what's available. You at least look at what's available because he played against the Chiefs. I believe he had 3 catches. So much better than the previous games that we've seen him in. But now that you have Ladin and Johnston really taking over, and then of course Chark coming back, and I think a lot of people forget that we have DJ Chark. I don't know. Is there room for Palmer? If there isn't, at least take a look at what's available because you never know. They may offer an offensive lineman. It's rare that happens, but you never know. Or you get a pick and you trade that pick for an offensive lineman. There are hundreds of things that you can come up with here. So it's definitely something to look at.
Yeah, and if they keep him and he leaves next offseason, they could get a compensatory pick, but he's going to have to play well for
Right.
for another team to pony up a good amount of money for him.
Right, and that makes you think, do they put him out there more week 6 and 7 and kind of target him more to get his value up if they do plan on trading him? I don't know. I don't think he stays next year. It's just a gut feeling. I don't think he does. But you never know.
Yeah. So a lot of things we just have to see how it plays out. But it'll be interesting. I think we can turn this corner around. I think we can.
I think so. We just have to get healthy. It's every year we say the same thing, but this year I truly believe it. I don't think this is a Super Bowl team yet, but no one thought it was. Most said this was a rebuild year. I think we can at least make the wild card. Look at the rest of the division; they're all 2-2 except for the Chiefs. So anything's possible this year for the AFC West. 2 games behind the Chiefs is not ideal, but huge divisional game coming up week 6, and that can turn the tide. Broncos just beat the Jets 10-9. Very ugly game, ugly weather. But they got it done. So they play the Raiders Sunday. That'll tell us a lot about this division. Whoever wins is 3-2. So
yeah, and you would think the Rice injury for the Chiefs would maybe open the door for them to have some losses, but I don't know. The Chiefs, the refs are still healthy, so
yeah. I think they're gonna get wide receiver help ASAP. I don't think they're gonna sit on this. They just want to see, I think, what Rice's injury actually is, and then get help ASAP. I could definitely see Amari Cooper going there. He's getting up there in age though, but he can still be an asset to Mahomes. And really, that's kind of the place where you'd want to be if you're a veteran, because they give you the best chance of winning every year. Unfortunately, because of Mahomes and Reed. So they'll be a force if they can get Cooper, and if Rice's injury isn't that serious and he comes back later in the season, that'll be a tough team to stop. With Pacheco coming back too, yeah,
that would be, But hey, the bright side is our defense. They look great against the Chiefs until the end, holding them to 17 points.
I mean, that's still an accomplishment, and without Derwin, without Bosa.
Yeah.
So I'm concerned, but I'm not that concerned. Like, let's see this team healthy again, because we haven't seen it since week 1. And then let's judge. If they're healthy and they're losing like this, then that's a problem.
Yeah.
But when they were healthy, they were playing very well. So I hope we get Bosa back. But more importantly, I hope we get these 2 offensive linemen back. We need them desperately.
Yeah, definitely. And Derwin James is going to help too.
Yeah,
it'll help too. But make sure you go to Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code Bolt for up to $1,000. They'll match it. And hey, subscribe and smash that like button. So we'll be back soon with some predictions, division winner predictions. Yeah. So till next time.
Yeah. See you guys.
See you.